Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. So I guess it only took like 1 second for me to go live. That's why I looked a little shocked. Usually I hit that live button and stream button and then it takes seconds and seconds before it says I'm live. So if I looked a little startled, that would be why. So what's up here? Let's see who's in. Angels Don't Fall, Austin 108, Unimatrix 001, Shari D, of course, Abstract, Sapioid, and Gainer. Shari. I think that's everybody. Bill Knight is in. Welcome from USA to the UK. Joe Blor's in. Preliminal. Art Generica. Oh, so busy today. Petite Penguin. I think that's everybody. Bill Knight, they added more seals to the timeline. Are you talking about those ribbon seals? You know, I've had those on before, so I'm not sure what's up. AAA is in. I've had ribbon seals on. Let me see if they've gotten more ribbony. I haven't actually looked at them for a while, and sometimes I find that they upgraded. There's actually a lot of those. Yeah, they maybe look a little more shocking than last time, but this is pretty much what I remember. Actually, I do think they're a little bit more extreme than I recall. And it looks like there's a pattern where there's, like, the ribbons aren't just everywhere. This one has it around the head, around the front legs, and around the back end, I guess you would say. I don't know. So maybe there's like a pattern. It looks like there's a clear pattern now on these. Last time I didn't see this. It was just kind of like willy-nilly, but now it looks like it's head, legs, and butt. I don't know. It's hard to say that that's a butt, but okay, yeah, there does seem to be like a clear system to the madness now on these ribbon seals. So I would say that those have changed a little since last time I've seen. The overall look is the same, though. Just a little bit more ridiculous than ever. You know, you really just can't make these things up. Those would not have been a bad thumbnail, actually. I'm trying to think if I've used ribbon seals. I don't think I've used them as the thumbnail before. I am on live chat. Whoa, I saw you mention it earlier, so. Don't remember. Shari doesn't remember. I think there's been, you know, you and me, Shari, we've gone through several hard shifts. And so I think there was a time when we agreed on a lot of stuff, but now, I mean, as far as Mandelas are concerned, but now it's been a while since that's been the case. Well, I think we still agree on, you know, like general concepts, but not, we don't share the same Mandelas like we once did. And that's pretty much the case for everybody. So Abstract gave me 10 A's, whatever those are, but I appreciate them very much. Thank you. From what reality are you today? So I don't think I've shifted hard for a few weeks. That last shift was a big one for me, though. A lot of people I know changed. It was right around when I moved. I moved my, not my house, but my work. Other people I know were moving at the same time. That guy I often talk about, my pickleball partner dude, he is moving out of state. He suddenly sold his house. They closed last week. He's the one that's really shift prone. You know, I used to call him shifty, but I realized that, you know, that could be misconstrued as a bad thing. But yeah, he had the different histories in his boat and all that. So while I was just finishing moving myself, my new business, he sent an email. He was gone on vacation and he bought a place in Florida and put the house up for the market. I knew he was thinking about moving out of Cali, but then suddenly, boom, 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 it was done. So yeah, everybody I talk to a lot online all have different histories now, and some of their Mandelas have changed. So that was all a few weeks ago, though. This last week has been a little quiet for me. I haven't seen too many things change, like live at home, like one day to the next. I won't say none have changed, but I haven't noticed any, I don't think, this week. It seems like time is going a little faster again. It was going really slow for a while, and I don't know if that was, I wouldn't say really slow, but like it slowed down. And that might be because of the move and all of that. I don't know, but let's see what we got. So what is that? Okay, that one, I'll talk about what the thumbnail is in a second. You have seen this place before. I have covered this before, but you probably won't recognize it because it looks different now. And it is red, and it wasn't red before. Anybody having problems with eyes and allergies? I had that for years. It really did help with the vitamins and the not eating the PUFA. You probably are going to be sick of me saying that, since it flies in the face of everything that the TV says. But that's gotten a lot better. I also don't have. So a couple things improved with me since I started doing that, and I really noticed it this week because it was like probably about 98 degrees Fahrenheit on the pickleball courts, and I hadn't been playing, and I went back on Monday, and then I went on today, and it's been months, and I should suck after months, but I didn't. I was not bad at all. Not only that, usually if I don't play for a while and then I play hard in the hot sun, I will get an exercise-induced headache, which is a known thing. That some people get a headache after they exercise hard. And I didn't get it. Totally should have got it. I didn't get it on Wednesday. I also have not getting, after you exercise, you usually get delayed onset muscle soreness. I've always had delayed onset muscle soreness. You work out and your muscles ache later. Didn't get it. I haven't got it. And I did work out pretty hard. I went back to my aerobics. Have not got it. So some things are different. Fortunately, I have not lost any weight, but other things are improving. My eyes used to just sometimes burn, and they just haven't been. There's differences, so glad for those. I'm trying to convert back to being awake during the daytime. Now that is not, maybe it's only a few days now, but hasn't gone so well. Like, I still feel sleepy. I get up early-ish. Like, I got up at 8 a.m., which is early for me. I get up, but I just, I'm not awakey. I can sit here with my eyes basically open, but I just feel sleepy. So, I don't know if it's still just a thing where I just became like a night owl, or maybe I'll be able to convert it over time. I don't know. Thursday with computer problems. I think the Thursday with computer problems was 2 weeks ago, not last week. Food. I have been normal on my eating habits, at least as normal as it gets anymore for this week. Yeah, well, fruits, that's been for a while. See, what's the magical thumbnail? All right, I'll get to it. I have it next. In fact, you could probably read it up there. Capybaras is a Mandela for me. Quantum Businessman made a video featuring a short segment on them. They were extinct in my old timeline. See, it's stuff like this that's really shifty to me, because capybaras for me were a Mandela that showed up years ago, like 5-6 years ago. There was some talk about the giant rats. I've had them on my show before. So I'm tempted to say sometimes, well, maybe Quantum Businessman is really busy being a businessman and he's just not up with all the latest Mandelas. Granted, this one was not spoken of far and wide, yet it still seems a little bit like late breaking news, and then you guys don't know about it. So these big fat rodents, they're huge. They're just come on, if we could just find one that shows them. And first they just showed up. There's an interesting story for me, because when they showed up, they were just in like South America, and they would come in Roman packs. And there were stories about how they would attack and even eat somebody. So if you ran into these out in the jungle, there was a story where somebody had to climb a tree to not get eaten by these capybaras. And now, though, they're at a lot of places, and they're not that mean, and they can be pets, and they seem like they're pretty nice. And there's no stories about them attacking people in the forest that I've seen lately. I'm trying to get one where you can see the size. This kind of gives you an idea because it's got chicks on its head. I think they're just a little stinky, which is why they're usually not in the house. You know, I don't think I brought a water over here. I might have to go run and get a water. Look at this, all of this. Okay, there's one next to a corn. So you can see that they are quite large. I don't know what is on his nose. I'm assuming that he ate something strawberry flavored because they don't have red on their nose. And you can see that they're, I don't know what, like 50 pounds or some ridiculous thing. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a water. It'll only take me a second. Much better. I just came from work, as often happens. All right. Okay, so there's capybaras. You get the picture. I don't know why my throat is kind of scratchy today. Now, here's one next to a guinea pig to give you an idea. Every now and then, like way up in the back of my throat gets a little dry. I don't know. It's not the same thing like when I'm coming down with something, because then it just kind of hurts back up in there. And then it's days before I have to go through a whole sick cycle, and then at the end I get the cough. So it's not like I'm getting sick or anything. But, you know, in the current era, everybody's like, oh my gosh, she coughed. She's going to die. All right, so we got that one. Ribbon seals, capybaras. Toucans not extinct. I always had toucans in my timeline. I feel like everybody's gotten like such a variant timeline now. Petite capybara has always been there, but I'm sure some behavioral changes have occurred due to, petite capybara? They're not petite, though. Is there a petite version? Petite capybara. I mean, like, the biggest... last I checked, I believe they were saying they were the largest... Can't spell petite, obviously. The largest rodent on Earth. Why are capybaras bigger than other rodents? Biggest rodent on the planet. 4.5 foot long. They can weigh up to 140 pounds, which is more than twice the weight of an average house cat? I don't think the average house cat weighs 70 pounds, last I checked. I don't know what they're saying here. Who's writing these articles? The average house cat? Okay, so, they live in South America. They're herbivores. They like to munch on grass. They're the largest by weight. When it comes to farm animals, capybara are among the most interesting, entertaining, and adorable. You can use them for food or as pets. Capybaras, as we all know, were so popular in the early 2000s that it was considered a trend. Yeah, no, I've never heard of it. Now, I do remember the emu trend that was more like around the 90s. I have not heard of a pet capybara trend in the aughts. In fact, I don't think those things existed back then. I think I started hearing about them around 2012. Many families had them as pets. Nope, they were not pet material when I first learned of them. Capybara owners often paid up to $2,000 in order to get a capybara of their own. They're strong and have sharp teeth. Should reserve for adults. The smallest capybaras are produced through selective breeding, such as they practiced by the San Diego Zoo. Since when does the San Diego Zoo selectively breed animals to be different than their normal size? That seems kind of weird. Usually zoos are trying to preserve the natural state of a creature. In this case, only one parent is a pygmy capybara and the other side is a full size. So there's a pygmy capybara. Pygmy capybara. So it's pygmy is the word. Pygmy capybara. Okay, this is the first I'm hearing about pygmy capybaras. I don't know if that's legit. Pygmy hippopotamus. We've covered that in the past. All right. Why is it that I type in pygmy capybara and there's a whole bunch of hippopotamus ones? Capybara is commonly known as greater capybara. Okay, so if there's a greater capybara, you could almost bet that there's going to be like some kind of lesser or pygmy capybara coming. It kind of sounds to me like we're on the edge of getting pygmy capybaras. Capybara water hog is an animal from the rodent family. Is commonly known as greater capybara or lesser capybara. Okay, so there are two now. They are closely related to guinea pigs and rock cavies. All right, so there is a lesser capybara now. All right, so this is a Mandela for me, this lesser one. There was only the one lesser capybara. Closely resembles capybara, but is smaller in size and has a darker brown coat. All right, so the capybara has split into two species. We've had these on before, at least in my timeline. I'm almost afraid to even ask if it exists in my current videos. Let's see if we can get it to quit jumping around. Panama, home to the world's second largest rodent, the lesser capybara. So the common capybara weighs about 66 kilogram or 145 pounds, about 4 foot in length. The lesser capybara, only found in Panama, is slightly smaller species compared to the common capybara. Lesser capybaras grow to 1 meter or 3 feet and weigh 27 kilogram or 60 pounds. Both species belong to the genus Hydrocorus, meaning water hog. This genus is kind of perfect considering they are short and stocky, looking like a pig. Okay, nothing really. Eyes and nostrils located near top of head, so they can be semi-submerged and hide from predators while in water. Can stay underwater for up to 5 minutes. Okay, so we have two kinds now. Interesting. All right, so that might be what they mean by pygmy capybara, is this lesser one. Give birth to an average of 4 babies called pups. You know, it's kind of interesting is that you've got like little mice and rats will give birth to like 8 or 10 pups. And then you have this giant capybara, but only produces 4 pups. Can you imagine if it just produced small ones and then like made millions of them? It just doesn't seem like that happens though. I mean, you would think that they could like so you have like kangaroo, like pandas, kangaroos, they produce those tiny little babies. So, I mean, why couldn't you just produce something like that big and just produce like 50 of them? I mean, it would be doable, but nature just for some reason is not creating those kind of animals. Imagine how successful they would be. All right, somebody gave me money of some type. Abstract gave me a $10 again. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yellow Eiffel Tower. What the heck now? I missed this. Yeah, so all right, I think we talked through the whole Emmy paint change of Eiffel Tower. You know, I did have, it's kind of turned kind of a, like a brown color, a stinky brown color last I checked. Red, it was painted red? Really? I don't remember that part. The Eiffel Tower was red, huh? I do remember the stinky brown color. But yeah, no dark gray. I remember it being like dark gray, basically. It looked like that industrial gray color. You know, I saw an image of it completely lit up recently, too, that looked absolutely beautiful. I've never seen it with even half of those lights on it. It was just absolutely decked out. I'm a little suspicious about that when I just saw that, like, earlier today, I think. They painted in 2022 gold for the 2024 Olympics. Really? It's gold now? Let's see. Okay. Gold Eiffel Tower. Just have it like 50 colors, and whatever timeline you come from, they'll have one of them colors on there. Going for gold, Eiffel Tower gets Olympic facelift ahead of 2024. I have to say it probably would look a lot better. That's pretty close to how I remember it. Deny. But see, it's a little brown now. And it used to be gray. The current work started in 2019. Do you remember 3 years ago them starting to paint it gold? The Eiffel Tower received a new can of paint every 7 years. Which for now, the gold can only be detected only vaguely at the top of the tower. Will be visible to all. Why did Gustave Eiffel pick yellow-brown? Yeah, he didn't. Probably so the Eiffel Tower would echo the whole city of Paris with its cut stone houses made of limestone. Okay. Oh, it looks all rusty right there, actually. Interesting. Okay, so I guess it's going to be gold now. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I have not heard of this though, and that's pretty interesting. We have looked at the color of the Eiffel Tower before. Never saw anything about that. So they've already started in 2019 at the top. Apparently, it is gold already. 2012 when I've seen most pics of Capybara and they were known as laid back. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when I heard they were mean. It was early on. So basically, I sell bones and stuff. And the way that I knew about them early on was that I saw capybara skulls for sale on like here and there and the different sources. I'm like, what the hell is a capybara? So I looked it up, and that's when I read up on them a little, and it said they were aggressive, mean. I'm like, well, they're rodents. A giant rodent, you wouldn't want to mess with it, right? But I just read it that once, and I pretty much didn't look into them again because this was before I knew about the Mandela by a couple years, which means that, yeah, it was pretty early on. And I didn't think they were going to magically change, so I thought I knew all there was that I really needed to know. My cats are always lean and light and chase birds outside. The outside cats that get a lot of wild game don't seem to get that fat. I think it's just the food they eat. So they eat a lot of starch and grains and stuff in the cat food, and they just get fat. So the last two cats I've had have all been kind of semi-strays from the outdoors, and would go out a lot, and they did not get fat. But all of my indoor cats that were raised indoors got fat. Not hugely fat, but, they weren't that lithe. Also, the outdoor ones are, like, ripped, like they're muscle because they're going up and down trees and blah, blah. Capybara stew. So yeah, apparently they are raised for food and eaten for food and like that. So supposedly guinea pig is also a tasty food in some countries. It didn't used to have different paint through history. Yeah, that's what I remember. So that article was saying that Gustav Eiffel picked like that brown color. So let's just check of Eiffel Tower. So we know that it's being painted gold, and it's apparently gold at the top, although you can't notice. I don't know. I just don't see how it's going to be gold at the top, but nobody noticed. What colors has the tower sported over the years? Reddish brown, ochre brown. Ugh. What about cookies management? Built of iron. Blah, blah. The choice has been a fairly neutral color made of 3 shades of brown called the Eiffel Tower brown. Darker at the base of the tower and lightens as it goes up to give a visual impression of uniformity. Originally, the tower was painted Venice red. What the hell color is Venice red? Venice red. Venice red. I mean, is that even a... They say it like I would know what that means. Okay, is that screaming red? Or is this red in Venice? There's no apparent definition of Venice red that I see here. Rental apartments in Venice. Yeah, I don't see any definition of Venice red. So that's not very useful. Okay, so since 68 has been this brown color. Originally it was Venice red, then reddish brown because of the minimum, also called red lead, often used in paint at the time for its protective qualities of iron. So these colors here, I guess. 2019 new painting campaign starting. Ochre brown, a variation of 5 shades of yellow in 1899, yellow brown 1907. Okay, yeah, no, I don't remember red. Now that's interesting because red, you know, that's kind of how we got the Golden Gate, which now that I think about it, it's sort of weird that it's called the Golden Gate and it's red, the Golden Gate Bridge. So the story was always that they painted it with the red primer and everybody loved it, so they just said leave it red. And so the color of the Golden Gate, which is not gold, now I gotta wonder, is kind of the red primer color of old. So I'm thinking here when they're talking about red primer colors, it's like this color here. Of the old days, it was like this kind of a brickish red color, but not quite as orange as bricks, but. New painting campaign is beginning, to be continued. Oh, what do you mean to be continued? That's pretty obnoxious. So it looks like when they say gold, what they mean is yellow. This looks like it's going to be the same article again. Okay, you can see how brown it is here. See if I can get it. Open new tab, link. It's not very helpful, but you can see that it's definitely not gray, it's brown. And interesting that some lighting still makes it look gray, and I don't even see how lighting could make this color look gray. All right, I'm kind of giving up. I'm not getting much data on this. I don't like that stinky brown color. I think it might look good in red, and I think it look good in gold. I think it would look good in dark charcoal. I didn't think it looked good in gray, though. It was that industrial gray that reminded me of just industrial. It just looked kind of like, I don't know. I didn't really like it in gray. I don't like it in stinky brown either, though. I always kind of thought it just looked so industrial, and I'm like, well, maybe they just don't have the money to, I don't know. It looked more like you're building hangars for an aircraft and you're not wasting any money kind of color. Has anyone had a lot of people moving in their town lately? Well, I don't know, because of the whole pandemic thing. Everybody's moving everywhere. So people around my area that are more Republican are leaving California. They're sick of it. And then people like in San Francisco and LA areas that are, a lot of them are moving out of there into like my area. So locals here are leaving, and then we're getting a shift from the other areas. Like they don't want to leave California, but LA and San Francisco have other issues, because not only are they lockdown happy, but they've also had a whole lot of crime issues. It's tent city. I think a lot of people see the writing on the wall that it's probably not going to get better anytime soon as the years have drug on. All these like areas that used to be beautiful tourist areas are now just covered with homeless people tents. I have seen an uptick of homeless here, but it is not nearly as bad as like in LA. I mean, I've talked to people there and it's really bad. So when you see those videos of all the tent cities and stuff, I've talked to people in LA and that is actually how it is, and worse. We will most likely never realize the full importance of painting the tower that is an essential element in the conservation of metalworks. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so I guess this is the old look. I think this would be pretty with red, personally. I mean, we're used to seeing it a certain color. I really do. I'm a big fan of dark charcoal. Um, so it's hard for me to not like dark charcoal on anything. But I could see it red, and I could see it, huh. All right, here we go. This is useful. 1887, it was orangey red. 1889, it was brownish red. 92, it was yellow. 1899, it was tan. 1907, stinky brown. 1954, reddish brown. 1968, even more stinky brown. Um, Frankly, the current one is the ugliest of all of these. I don't know. I don't know if I like that one, but I'd rather have this one maybe. All of these were better. Like that one, and that one. I think this one or that one would be my favorite. There's not a single industrial gray in here, ironically. The current one is the closest, but it is way more brown than it used to be. All right, so I'm pretty sure that's what we're working on now? This gold color? This, I believe, is the current color. Huh, well, there you go. Yeah, no, I don't remember all those colors. That's a lot of colors. Give it a couple years, it will have been purple, and it'll have been rainbow. Yeah, probably would have been rainbow. My sister looked at me really weird when we were driving, and down the road from me was a new senior apartments, really big by the road. It's been there for about 10 years. She said, no way. Huh, interesting. So Mandela for her then. Do you remember male lions allowing even their own offspring to feed next to him on a kill? Because now I'm seeing vids of males attacking their cubs. You know, the male lion thing is just they're getting more and more nasty. So, you know, used to just be the males would fight with other adult males. Then you start hearing about them killing cubs of other males. So if now they're killing their own cubs, I mean, like, how are those animals going to eat? So they also didn't used to team up for me. So it was just lone males. It was one male against another male, and one male controlled the pride. Then you started hearing stories of like brothers teaming up. It's really rare, woo woo, and made them more successful. But now you hear all the time 3 male brothers teamed up, blah 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 blah. There's all these words for it now. It's really common. So lions have changed a lot. I've covered that their coloration has changed. Are they trying to mess up our minds like we're crazy? My family and friends, I can't even talk to normal about anything. They don't see it on CNN. They say it's made up. Yeah. And then it goes beyond that because, like, if I talk with my friends about stuff that happened in the past, a lot of that stuff didn't happen to them in the past. We don't have the same past. Even if I just ask about something that she said 6 months ago happened, now it didn't happen. So it's like, you have to talk about the present, but you can't talk about politics. It really cuts down on the subject matter of stuff we used to talk about. Because, you know, you used to be, you'd meet up and you go, oh, whatever happened with blah, blah, how are you doing over on this and that thing? And then they go, what are you talking about? And then they come to you and say, well, did you ever finish blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, what is that? They have a word for that, for the male groups of males now. It was not coterie, but there was something like that. All right. So anyway, so the subject of the thumbnail, that's Lake Natron. Now you might have heard of it before. This one's kind of tricky because they were saying, I only remember there being one lake that did that, but I can't remember which was the first one. There was the Salton Sea, which is in California, and then they were saying Lake Natron. And I was kind of getting them confused as like there was just one and then there was two. And I'm not sure which is the first one, but they were salty lakes where the animals that died in it would kind of get crustified and petrified in a salty version of their original selves. And people were taking them and posing them on back into more of a natural pose and taking photos of them. And then there was definitely Lake Natron is one that I have checked more recently, as been the extreme example of this. But Lake Natron was not red at that time. Neither of these lakes were red. And now Lake Natron is sometimes red. Now I have a feeling it's going to be red pretty soon. So it has naturally alkaline. They're saying it's from a nearby volcano. Now I just remember it being salt. Sometimes turning red from this volcano and the alkalinity. It makes it poisonous to most animals. Animals and bird corpses can be found in and around the lake. Beautiful but deadly red lake. Stick around. Okay, so I was reading this earlier and they were just saying it was caustic to drink the water. I'm still trying to figure out if it's actually, you know, like can you wade in it as long as you don't slurp it? So they're saying it's in Tanzania. I can't say for sure, but I'm a little unsure if I remember it being there. The Maasai are around there. They're saying now. That whole story just seems a lot different than I remember before. So Lake Natron is in northern Tanzania currently. Part of it lies over the border in Kenya. I'm thinking it might have gotten a lot bigger. Perfect addition to a Tanzania safari. I just don't remember like there being safaris and stuff. I don't know. There's something that's really changed about this. So when you visit Serengeti and Ngorongoro crater, now also visit Lake Natron. Spectacular scenery that often seems implausible or unreal, as well as different wildlife, which even includes camels. I don't remember anything about camels there. 6 amazing Lake Natron facts. Phantom rain. Okay, I've not heard of this. Much of the rain is phantom rain that evaporates before hitting the surface. This is because the lake is in a desert. It doesn't really explain why the water only comes down half, but it's a volcano-fed lake. The lake has no outlets and receives most of its water from springs and episodic streams. So how does the volcano feed it when it's the springs and episodic streams feeding it? Volcanoes don't usually barf out tons of water. So that's why I'm like, what do you mean volcano-fed lake? All right, but they're saying the water leaches through volcanic material of nearby Mount Oldoinho Lengai. The lake's water is highly alkaline. Okay, so the volcano is not feeding it, but it's a volcano-contaminated lake. The lake water is poisonous, contains a lot of salt, soda, and magnesite. Damages the innards of the organisms that drink it. But can you wade in it? Well, flamingos, apparently. I don't remember there being a ton of flamingos on Lake Natron. I thought there was nothing on it. Now there's flamingos. Aren't negatively affected by the bacteria that harms most other birds. The lake is actually the largest breeding ground in the world for lesser flamingos. I don't remember flamingos having any special power to not be sick by toxins, so that's new. Water sometimes turns red or orange red because of the algae that thrives in its hypersaline environment. All right, this story is getting a little old, but I do not remember this story being the case for Lake Natron. The lake is really hot. See, now I don't remember this either. It was just saline. Now it's hot. Can rise to 60 degrees C, which is 140 degrees F. 140 degrees F is pretty hot. In summer, there are also hot springs on its eastern shore. Why does it get so hot is a question. Are the hot springs on the eastern shore enough to boil the whole lake to 140 degrees F? Seems kind of like a lot, unless they're saying there's volcanic activity, but they're not saying there's volcanic activity. I mean, is it 140? How does the water be 140 degrees unless the air is 140 degrees? I mean, I know it's a desert, but I don't recall them saying it gets to 140 F. It just seems kind of weird that it gets that hot. I'm feeling like we're missing some of the story here. Natron has hydrated sodium carbonate, and Lake Natron has a high level of sodium carbonate, hence its name. Do you see most of the photos still show it not red, like the photos we used to see, but now there's just all this talk about parts often appear red. So that thumbnail image I showed you is the red part of the lake. Why would you have so many images of the blah part of the lake when you have this amazing red part of the lake? Oh, and it can turn pink. Only those who've never spent any real time in the desert landscapes think of them as being simply dry brown places. Almost every desert is awash with many colors. Lake Natron and its surrounds particularly hot on pinks and reds. So if you've never been in the desert, then you're a big goober and don't know that they're all colorful. Okay, cloud shroud, Lengai, Maasai huts in the foreground, some other creatures. There's the flamingos. Remember the days when they were just like red? Now they're all these weird colors. They have these weird beaks. Oh, there's all the flamingo species now. Lesser, James, Andean, Chilean, Caribbean, and greater. Now that one here is all I really remember there being. I've seen some images of these little short-legged kind of flamingos too. It might be these lesser ones, but they looked really weird. All right, there's some of the red pelicans. I guess they're all right in Lake Natron too. Animals. All right, I'm assuming these don't drink from the lake, all these creatures. I just don't remember like there being Maasai and camels and all this stuff. All right, so I also just think it's weird that you don't see a lot of images of this. They're saying it's often red, but then these are just showing up. This is also Lake Natron with its red algae. Apparently it's got a big range of colors. Here it is all orange and yellow with some green algae. That's the thumbnail here. Brick red algae. So I guess this one has quite a bit of variation. More of the red, but without the stinky, goopy look. More of a blood red with white look. It's got like every color. All right, so, I looked at Lake Natron before, and there was absolutely no... You could see I didn't add red or that word in here. There was absolutely no images of a red Lake Natron before. None of this stuff was in there. Look, it's almost purple along the shore here. Pink and purple in that one. Yeah. We got these weird round shapes in there. Anyway, yeah, no, I just don't remember Natron being that way. Yeah, I would really limit people's, like, children's ability to access social media. I feel like even in recent years, it's just so toxic. People are so rude. Um, it's shallow. The amount of swearing and narcissistic behavior, I think it's a bad influence. I think it's been a bad influence on myself. And I'm an adult that has decades and decades of good, better influence than that, way better. And even in recent years, I find myself affected by it. I'm trying to cut back. I didn't really notice it at first, but now I'm kind of looking at it going, just my whole attitude about people has gotten more negative, and I think a lot of it has to do with social media. Because when I talk to people out in the real world, I mean, they do show some aspects of the social media behavior, but not nearly to the extreme. It's like Reddit and those places have a concentration of extra sick people on them. Normal people, I think, are busy and they have other things to do, and the most ill people are the people who get all of their socialization from that medium. Maybe they don't have any in-person friends. And so it just becomes so unbalanced and it's so unhealthy. Oh yeah, and flamingos flying. I forgot about that, Mandela, but yes, you're right. They all fly now. What a way to get. So yeah, people are just nasty on there, like I'll say something like, "Well, I'm not sure if I trust this photo." And then they'll be like, "Oh, well, you just love such and such politician and you this and that." I'm like, I didn't say any of that. I don't think any of that. I like they're not even reading what I wrote and they're just attacking, and it's like are you a bot? Are you an idiot? I don't know, but it's just like so much of that. People ready to judge over nothing or some tiny thing. Pretty soon, it's just hard to see that over and over and not just kind of get more crabby yourself. And you just, I see people online, that's how humans are. I'm like, they're not as bad in real life as they are in social media. Yeah, so Planet Mars 2030, that's one of the older Mandelas that flamingos fly now. And I used to see them at the zoos, and they just put a fence around them, and they couldn't fly, and that was always the thing. They can't fly. That's why you can just put up a fence. Now the storyline is they cut the wings so they won't fly, but they could always fly. No, they couldn't fly. That was one of the things about flamingos. Were we ever in a real reality? Was Sagittarius a real solid reality? My personal opinion is that reality has always been shifty. I do remember shifts back in the 90s and earlier, I think the 80s. I definitely have one from the 80s. Alfa Romero instead of Alfa Romeo was a change that happened in the 80s. I just think it's more extreme now. It's sped up. The changes have gotten faster and faster. Four-leaf clover is in shock about flamingos. Yeah, they all fly now. Peacocks could not fly either, and monkeys hated water. Now they can dive. Yeah, the animals are getting a lot more sophisticated. So peacocks, for me, they could kind of bounce fly. Like kind of how chickens are. They kind of jump a little, and they could flap really hard, and they could get up on a roof. Okay, but they can really haul butt now. They can fly all the way across a lake and stuff, and they definitely could not before, peacocks. I've had that one on before, though. Can't stand being on Facebook anymore. They're all like that, you know. And then there's dead internet theory that a lot of these are just bots designed to be not nasty and drive a paradigm. So, you know, Ukraine hires bots and social media people to push one story, and every CIA and FBI and Kremlin, they're all pushing stories. And then you've got all the corporations all pushing stories. Big Pharma is pushing their story. You can bet there's going to be a lot of that. And you've got like probably social media stars and stuff like say Amber Heard's probably hired people to push her story. So dead internet theory is that like 80% of the internet is just bots and shills. I wouldn't really be surprised, but they're not nice, or whatever they are. I don't know if the people, bots, shills, or the Mandela Matrix, but a lot of them are just not nice things. It's weird watching peacocks flying. Yeah, you know, there were some peacocks around here at one of the places I used to work at, and they could bounce their way up into a tree. From branch to branch, they could fly up onto a roof, but that was about it. They couldn't fly over like a lake. Now they can. Yeah, I don't know, Sia. Maybe it was a time slip. I've seen hours disappear, so you know. Has anybody heard of India's utopian city of Auroville? India's utopian city of Auroville. No, I haven't. Look at that. I've already talked for an hour and 7 minutes. Auroville. Good thing I don't have too many Mandelas today. Auroville is an artificial and experimental township in the district of Villapuram, Tamil Nadu, with some parts of the town under Union Territory of Pondicherry. Founded by Mira Alfasa. Has no money. This is interesting. French name for Dawn City. Well, it looks pretty. French spiritual guru, occultist, and collaborator of Sri Aurobindo Ghosh. Okay, so it sounds a little culty, but I don't know. Organic farms, free schools, ethical design studios, subsidized by donations and the government of India. Believe that the idea of man is a transitional being. Auroville Beach is one of the most popular beaches of the state due to its unadulterated beauty. The place does not have a lot of human establishments to ensure the town is not damaged by human encroachment. 2,800 people from 195 countries have acquired the official residence of this township. Live together on the principles of peace, kindness, harmony, sustainable living, and divine consciousness. So there's a lot that's not said here. I mean, like, how did they earn their money? Where does the how does the infrastructure maintain? I mean, are they just getting donations? How are these principles maintained? people are able to live in peace and harmony. So I don't know if, what are they just like checking to make sure you have no criminal record and you're super nice before you can move in here? There's got to be some kind of a screening process, maybe, to screen out the riffraff. Which, I have nothing against, but then, the rest of the riffraff or the imperfect ones will have to live somewhere. So this is not going to be a solution to every problem. The objective is to accommodate 50,000 inhabitants. Well, that's interesting because in the other article it said that they were keeping the inhabitants low to preserve the pristine environment, and now here they're saying we want 50,000. Only around 100 people settle in Auroville each year in search of spirituality and ecological values. So, like, you move there, what do you do? There's no money, so like how do you get assigned a building? How do they decide who works and what they do? Do you have a choice? There's a lot of questions here and I'm not seeing like any answers. All right, so it came from the 1960s. I've not heard of this thing though. This is interesting. 2,500 permanent residents whose days are dedicated to inner discovery and pursuit of human unity. Rumors of sexual assault, murder, and corruption casting the city of dawn in an unflattering light. Dang it, I can't even get it to roll. All right, so questions abound on this thing. There's like, you would think that if it's that old that they would have more description on how it is set up and stuff, but look at this. YouTube's trying to encourage me to put in ads right now. I guess a lot of you are on right now. Shari has a knack for finding new changes. Yep, she does. Look at the article above. Okay, let me see if I can get there. Yeah, no, I have never heard of this. Interesting. All right, you know what? There's not anything in here, though. That article does not have... I mean, I probably have to watch this video, and it's going to be copyrighted, so... Yeah, I really wish I knew what the Mandela was all about. Like, why? I do think there were Mandelas when I was younger. Why is it more extreme? The one that bugs me, I swear, it's not. It's that other people don't have the same timeline as me. That's what bugs me. People 2 months ago, we would agree on Mandela's, and then a month something happens, and there's like, and they say they remember a different me. So where is that me at? The me they remember. Where is the me that I remember of them? That bugs me the most because it's like you have friends, but then they just keep being shuffled for similar friends that aren't the same friend. And that's like super irritating because I just want to have like one friend that stays, And I'm getting used to the concept, okay, this is the same person with a slightly different history. Okay. But sometimes they aren't that similar. Sometimes their personality changes quite a bit. And it's just, I just feel like, sometimes I'm like, well, I miss the version that we had last time that I met and we got along, and now this version just got mad at me about something that she would not have gotten mad about me, the old version of her. Like, I know what the old version was like, and now suddenly I don't know what this version's like, and what her hot button issues are, and how to talk to her, um, and it's I really dislike it, to put it mildly. Nude advertisements. That's been something this last month or so. There's been so many porn advertisements in my comments. I don't know if a lot of them seem to be coming from just one source. I report every one of them, but they just pop up. I don't know if YouTube's not getting rid of them, or there's just a slightly different account that keeps spamming it. But it's just ridiculous. Never had so many problems. So for me, a lot of people say my personality is pretty similar across timelines. So you're not going to really notice, I don't think, like a huge personality change, which probably helps. So you kind of have to just remember things I said. Like some of the people in my life, their personality doesn't change a lot, but they'll have a different history. You'll ask about some event and they'll remember it differently, or their medical history will have changed, or some hobby suddenly changes, or multiple things. Like my pickleball friend had fixed up his boat and was using it, and then suddenly he had never fixed it up and had not used it. And he had told me before he had taken to the lake and went barefoot skiing, and then suddenly he said, "No, I did never. It's not even operating." And I'm like, "No, you just took it last year." No, I did it. Okay, so even though there wasn't a real strong personality change that time, his whole history changed, or at least his recent history with that boat. I mean, like every day for months, he said, I can't stay too late. I'm working on my boat." And then suddenly he hasn't even started on his boat yet. Um, then there's been some shifts. And he's not the liar type either. So, no. And I mean, obviously, you're not going to keep your lie story the same for like 8 months, then claim you took your boat out on the lake and you bought a truck for your boat, and then suddenly turn around and say, "No, I've got to fix up my boat." I mean, it's just not going to happen. Okay, so that covers that. All right, so that was from Hobo Days mentioned the Lake Natron thing. So they basically said, holy, hand grenades, not exactly like that, but they said, look at this Lake Natron thing now. I've had Lake Natron on before, but I took the second look and da-dum-dum, it's different. All right, so this one comes from Catherine Jenkins. It just seems like this World War II thing, I don't really remember 6 people dying in Oregon from a bombing in World War II. So, I thought it was like 2, and now it's like 6. Originally it was none. All right, so they surfaced, the Japanese Navy I-25 surfaced in West Cape Blanco and launched a small seaplane piloted by Chief Flying Officer Nobuo Fujita, who flew over the Oregon coast and dropped 2 incendiary bombs near Mount Emily, which started a fire. And then the submarine was attacked and had to seek refuge on the ocean floor of Port Orford. The American attack was unsuccessful, and Fujita was able to launch an additional bombing sortie 3 weeks later. See, I don't remember this. Now, I do remember them saying that Japan was able to float an air bomb thing, like those balloon incendiary bombs from a grand distance, and they just kind of randomly came down, and one person got hurt because they came in contact one of these. But it wasn't that the Japanese actually flew over Oregon, but now they actually flew over to Oregon and dropped these incendiary bombs. They did it twice. So that's what's changed. The last time I heard, it was just the bomb floating with balloons. Now it is an actual airplane that attacked twice. Shortly after the sortie, the submarine sank the SS Camden. All right, so then this submarine, it sank the SS Camden, the SS Larry Doheny, and the Soviet-Russian submarine L-16. So now that sounds like, are they saying that the, it sounds like this Japanese sub then sank 3 other subs, 2 Americans and a Russian one. So this is another thing. I don't remember submarines that carried airplanes. So that's another thing that I have not heard. Not only were submarines able to come to the coast, they were able to release airplanes. They were able to sink 3 of our side's ships. The aircraft provided a unique renaissance capability, but also carried 2 bombs. But they were primarily intended for reconnaissance and scouting missions. They were heavily armed and capable of surface and submerged attack. Fujita came up with the idea of using a submarine-based seaplane to launch attacks on the U.S. mainland, as well as the strategic Panama Canal. Then he returned in 1944 to Japan to train kamikaze pilots. Blah, 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 blah. The Japanese conducted 3 missions to American West Coast. After the attack, submarine conducted a patrol of the U.S. West Coast from San Francisco to Columbia River. No other information available on this mission. I've never heard of this one. They're not saying it did anything, but they're saying it went up Columbia River. I've never heard of that. In San Francisco, flew over Kodiak, Alaska, to support planning for a diversionary attack on Dutch Harbor. The attack was to divert American attention from the upcoming carry attack against American positions in Midway. The submarine attacked SS Fort Camuson with her deck guns. The freighter survived. All right, so now it's attacking, I guess the SS Fort Camuson was a freighter. Sounds like it's a fort, but it's a freighter. All right, this one I think is what we remember last time. Submarine fired 17 rounds at Fort Stevens. The only reported damage was to a baseball backstop. I actually don't even remember that much. On its return mission, is believed to have sunk the U.S. Navy submarine at USS Grunion. See, I don't remember that one that attacked Fort Stevens sinking anything. It was kind of a laugh because it just kind of lobbed a few things at Fort Stevens, and that's all it ever did. But now it's sunk a bunch of stuff. It's definitely more dangerous. Now the command planned to attack Pacific Northwest with a forest fire. I've not heard of this story. Before they just floated the balloons. Now they're flying the planes. That's kind of the thing here. So it dropped these bombs, then it returned to its submarine. Army A-29 bomber aircraft in Tacoma spotted the submarine, attacked it, but only inflict minor damage. See, this whole story is like way more complicated now. All right, so then Fujita flew east, dropped 2 bombs, observed flames, but no traces are known about where that was. All right, then it resorted to torpedo attacks on American shipping. All right, so there it's sunk several ships. I-25 torpedoed and shelled the American tanker HM Story in the South Pacific. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Now, somewhere in here, there was also one where 6 people found a bomb and were killed. It was a Japanese bomb. And I just remember it was 2. Okay, there it is. This is the one we want right here. Balloon bomb killed 6 Americans. Now, last I heard, this balloon bomb was 2. I think it was, and it was just injured. I don't think they killed them. The military kept the true story of their deaths. The only civilians to die at enemy hands on the U.S. mainland under wraps. 5 of them children in Oregon. Now, this is also expanded. So people who have not heard of this will go, oh, well, that's because the military kept it under wraps. But when is this article? This article is from 2019, so it was 3 years ago. We've looked at that since 3 years ago, and I don't think that story was there. So you have another one of this. The reason you didn't know about it is because the military kept it under wraps. I just don't trust that storyline. Everything's coming out, and I was like, oh, the truth came out. But in 2019, when this article was done, this article was nowhere to be found when we were researching this. And it was 2 people who got injured by a balloon bomb. It was not 6 people. 5 children died. I think I would have remembered 5 children died. All right, 1,000 out of 9,000 balloon bombs made the journey. Between the fall of 1944 and the summer of 1945, several hundred incidents connected to the balloons have been cataloged. Ooh, look at these. These are way bigger and more fancy than the last time I looked. This is no little joke bomb. One of the balloons filled with gas. Look at that. That's huge. It was like little stinky things last time I looked. The balloons not only required engineering acumen, but massive logistical support. Schoolgirls were conscripted to labor in factories. All right, so now the story is this was all kept hush-hush. And because it wasn't on the news, the Japanese assumed it wasn't working, so they stopped. Okay, this is an interesting new version of the story now. The silence meant that for decades, grieving families were sometimes met with skepticism or outright disbelief. The bombs have been so overlooked that during the making of the documentary On Paper Wings, several of those whose family members told filmmaker Lana Soul of reactions to their unusual stories. They would be killed telling someone about the loss of their sibling, and that person just didn't believe them. Now, let me see. Are they going to tell us how many people died from this thing? In 2014, a couple of forestry workers in Canada came across one of the unexploded balloon bombs, which still posed enough of a danger that a military bomb disposal unit had to blow it up. Okay, so last time I read this, it really sounded like this was just some kind of inflammatory thing where it would start a fire. But now these are bombs. And there was at least 1,000 of them. And now they're still here. They could still be out there ready to blow you up. This is like a whole nother level to this story. It's changed quite a bit. They were more like incendiary bombs then. Now they're still live. It's basically like they're live mines, and they're still out there even. So, yeah, that's very different. This is from Catherine Jenkins. So thank you, Catherine. Thanks to Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter, we know now that a significant percent of users on social media are actually bots. Well, he never actually said. He just said he didn't trust that. What was the percent, 5, 10% that Twitter claimed? He's disputing it, and he wanted to see the actual data that they used to determine that, and they refused. And now, I don't know. They're going to go to court. I don't know. But we don't know the numbers and the data. Elon hasn't been given it, so he hasn't been able to blab. Okay, people, what color do you see? All right, let me check this out. So we really don't have any data. It's just a lot of people just think there's a lot of, I don't know. Well, the sky is green on this picture, so it kind of makes it, I mean, it looks kind of like, this is a, what color is that? Okay. If I look at it a certain way, like here, I want to say that that is like tan, but then it's kind of greenish here, and then in here is kind of purple. I think it's kind of green, probably. You know, the eye is trying to adjust for this goofy green light, so. Oh, all right, that's something different. And not what I wanted to see. So for the fruit that go bad real fast, I don't know. I've had problems with that for years, so I pretty much don't buy very many fruits in the stores. I buy oranges. Most of the apples have this weird rancid taste to me for years. I only will buy organic apples. They don't have that weird rot flavor in them. I'll buy apples sometimes. I will definitely buy oranges. and I'll buy bananas. And those are the main ones that I will rarely buy anything else. I'll sometimes we try to grow persimmons here. I will buy persimmons from like the farmer's market. They do go bad fast when I buy persimmons. I just have to eat them like a starving wolf. But I really like persimmons, so I managed to stuff them down like in a few days. I've been blessed by being able to eat large amounts of fruit without having intestinal problems. So I can literally sit and eat 10 persimmons and be fine. And I know a lot of people can't do that, but. Found my brand new eyeglasses that disappeared for 2 months. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Mine's stuff when it goes, it takes like a year to come back. So yeah, I do notice slight changes in my personality, but I don't think it's enough that others would totally notice. There are times when I'm feel a little more crabby, but I usually like won't say it out loud, but I'll notice sometimes my mind is more nicer inside and other times it isn't. And the other one is I sometimes have really strong urge to swear a lot, and other times I really don't like it. The swear one, I would say, I try to stifle it, so you might not notice that either. But my overall personality is usually pretty similar. Yeah, persimmons. We have a tree, but I've been having trouble getting any of them because the animals are just oinking them all. And the persimmons don't love it here in this soil, so I don't get a billion persimmons. And then, I don't know, this year we're talking about trying to put little cages on the fruit. I don't know if it'll work, but just trying to cage like some of the fruit so that like the possums maybe won't get it. I don't know. Maybe they just chew it down and rip off the cage. I don't know, but we might try it. What do I have to do to get a persimmon? Yeah, I got crabby when I saw that opossum out there eating my persimmons. How do you eat persimmons? They are confusing. Okay, first of all, you got to realize there's two kinds of persimmons, and they're almost like a whole different fruit. The only thing they have in common is the color. So there's two kinds. The one kind is like commonly referred to as like hachia, and they're very pendulous. They're big, and they can't be eaten until they're really mushy and slimy, and they have kind of a acerbic kind of taste to them a lot until they're super mushy, and it's like, when you make your mouth pucker. And that tree is really cold hardy. I don't like hachias. They say if you put them in the freezer, you can get rid of that acerbic taste. I can't. I put it in the freezer. It didn't get rid of the taste. I don't like those. I absolutely do not like hachias. The other kind is often like fuyu is one of the varieties. They're smaller, they're flatter, they look like they're more like apples. You eat them when they're still crunchy. As soon as they turn like a nice orange color, you can eat them. I'll show you a fuyu. Fuyu, persimmon. Fuyus are only cold tolerant till down about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. They do like decent soil, but you can grow them on any crappy soil, but you're just not going to get as big a tree, and you're not going to get as much fruit. So these are fuyu. This is, I believe, I don't have the name of my tree, so I don't know the exact brand, but I'm almost positive it's a fuyu or something real close. So these fuyus, you see how they're like kind of flat like this? These guys are kind of ripe here. So you eat fuyus when they're like crunchy like an apple, but they've turned orange, and they are mildly sweet. They have a certain flavor. It's hard to describe flavors. This might be like a little perfumey of a flavor. and a little sweet, not ridiculously so. Medium in the juice. I mean, juice is not going to drain out. It's kind of like an apple, you know, they got juice, but it's not ridiculous. I've never had anybody not like a Fuyu persimmon. They are good. Even if they're not, even the store-bought ones are decent. They're not as good as the homegrown ones, but unfortunately, every other animal, bird, and pest in the universe also loves them. Now, this one looks like it might be a hachia. Whoops. So hachias, you have to eat mushi. I just don't like them. Fuyus, yum, 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 yum. Certain areas you cannot grow fuyus, though. It's too cold. In that case, I just never eat them. So Northern California, like when we were in Sunnyvale, we grew fuyus. They were just fine. In fact, they grew like gangbusters. So they looks like a tomato, but they're big and they're crunchy like apples. So you poke them, they're like crunchy hard. They're not all like mushy like a tomato. They don't taste at all like a tomato. They're more like an apple, I would say. I've never really eaten a bad fuyu. Like, once they're orange, they're going to be decent. Like, sometimes you get tomato, you don't like it. You get an apple, it tastes awful. Or it could taste great. But fuyus are always decent. Yeah, the hachias are more like a strawberry. They kind of dangle down, and then, no, don't like those. Fuyus are nothing. There's a couple others that are not fuyu, but they have that same shape and they have that same crunchy texture. I think all the crunchy apple style fuyu types are good. And oh yeah, so shaped like a tomato, Eliza, that's a good way to describe it. They are. The good ones are shaped like a tomato. And I really don't know anybody who says, yum, I love those acerbic hachias way more than fuyus. I don't think anybody thinks that. I almost feel like you'd almost have to make the hachias into a pie or something. I just don't see how they're slimy, they're gross. I don't like them. All right, what are we doing here? Talking about everything. All right, here's a weird one. Dun, 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 dun. I'm trying to think if I've had these on. I don't think I've had snownados on yet. So we've had firenados and all kind of other weird stuff. I don't believe there's been snownados yet. If we did, I don't think they were quite this developed. So they're saying that snownados can be dangerous. They're related to, some places are saying they're related to dust devils. And in this timeline, dust devils can be dangerous. They can take paint off your car. They can cause trouble. Other places are saying snownados are related to water spouts, which also can be dangerous. And in this timeline, water spouts don't necessarily stay on the water. They can roll off the water onto land. Used to be they would die when they ended the water. Snownados are extremely rare. Only 6 have ever been captured on camera, with 4 coming from Ontario. I think this article's old. Yeah, 2016. There's been multiple more been captured on camera since 2016. Then again, I don't think these existed in 2016 in my timeline anyway. Usually occur before a snow squall. All right, so here's one. Watch on YouTube. Let's try. So I'm going to watch a small clip of this snownado here.
Now here's a rare weather phenomenon
Right,
you
first
don't
of all,
normally
let's shut up.
see. So rare that
Stop. Turn off the yapping. Here we go. Let's go back. All right, so here it is. Neat. I'm not going to play too much of it. Super rare snownado caught on camera. There's another one that shows like a really tall one far in the distance. So it looks more like a regular tornado, but they're saying it's a snownado. We get these right across the road. This is not rare at all. I get these all the time in my backyard when we get a good amount of snow. A snow devil is a waterspout that forms in a snow squall. Okay. Haha, rare, not in Alberta. I've seen them in the Badlands and in the foothills of the Rockies. My God, I can tell you exactly where you can see a snow devil, more or less. I'd assume anywhere like northern Alberta would have them occur quite often. Maybe not videotape, but definitely happens a lot. I can't say I'm not special, and I've seen lots. These aren't rare. During the 2018-2009 ski season, I saw some 250 or more. Saw one at Sydenham. Okay, rare on camera all over the countryside in upstate New York. LOL. Saw smaller ones all the time. And dust devils galore. Wow, so this is interesting. Everybody swears they're not rare. Except for the scientists who only have 6 of them on film. There's a huge disconnect here between these comments saying they see one a day and only that doesn't even, none of that makes sense. But welcome to Mandela land. All right, hopefully somebody's deleting out this guy. Deleted message. Okay, did we report this idiot? Report. Pornography. Goodbye. Yeah, like I said, I keep getting targeted by these porn sites. Hachias are healthier. I don't know. I think as long as it's above 10 degrees, they're fine. I haven't had any problems with my fuyus. We had one in Sunnyvale, and that thing, loved it. We have great soil in Sunnyvale. Just really nice, rich loam naturally. And it grew like gangbusters. Now, the one here is really slow growing, and I don't think it likes our super alkaline soil. So we've been putting acidifiers on it. I wouldn't say it's sickly. It looks fine, but it just grows really slow. But, you know, most things here, most of the fruit trees here are pretty pokey. The soil is just terrible here. Let's see. Has anybody heard of snownado? I don't think I've covered snownado, but I am not 100% on that one. I know I've covered a lot of weird nados. Speaking of the porn trolls. Every live stream get hits with the porn bots. Oh, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one then. Okay, so we got snownados. I'm coming down the home stretch. All right, let's do this one real quick. I've covered secretary bird before, but it looks like they've kind of gotten a new upgrade. Secretary bird. I do not remember these birds existing at all originally. Then we got those shoebill things, and then these secretary birds showed up a few years ago. And they're tall too. They're like 4 foot 3 inches tall. So these are tall birds. But what's different now is here. I don't know if you notice. I don't remember this around the eye. And a couple of other animals are showing up with this weird extra color around the eye. I mean, this is, what is this, like eyeshadow for animals or something? So the some of those weird, I think it was not Saiga, but that other weird one. Maybe it was Saiga. It was the one that was like half giraffe. I don't think that's Saiga. Saiga had the weird nose, but there was another one, and it suddenly had all the weird bulbous eye thing. A lot of the birds are getting it. So now this thing has got this. Some of them just have yellow, some have red, some have orange and yellow, red and yellow. So the secretary bird, I don't remember it having this last time I checked. Now you can see these are pretty interesting birds here. It show you a pretty big one. So last I checked, it did have this weird, like, kind of crown of weird feathers. I'm not sure if it was quite this extensive in the leg patterning. I mean, you can see it does look like it's wearing like kind of a weird suit or something. But it did not have the yellow in the face. So it's gotten more distinctive since then. Wait, I don't think that's what I wanted to do here. So again, these are big birds. Very interesting look. Now you can see this one just has the yellow only. So again, we're seeing a lot of variation across birds. That's how species are these days. I don't know if there's going to say there's sexual dimorphism. The other thing they're saying about secretary birds is they have huge eyelashes, which is unusual for birds. I don't believe I saw this level of eyelash activity last time I checked into these guys. It was mostly that weird crown. So I feel like these guys are getting upgraded. They kind of like the shoe bills. I wouldn't be surprised if this continues. So this is more of the look that we were seeing before. Interestingly, a lot of the images aren't showing the feathers upright on the back of the head now. I don't think these black legs were like this either. The more I look at it, the more that looks different. I think it was mostly the head was unique, and it was mostly these feathers. It almost looks like they've got black leggings. So this image is more like it, but again, I don't remember the yellow and red. I actually remember these feathers being like a little more sparse, but a little more upright. So I do think these guys have changed a fair bit. Yeah. Looking at this, I think these legs have been added. Interesting also, there seems to be like two, like you have a suit and it had the tail. It almost looks like the tail is a tail of a suit on here. This one right here is a little bit more how I remember it. Again, not with the black legs though. So it's all gotten girly. It looked kind of masculine before, but now it's got all this eyeshadow and these giant eyelashes. So it looks like a female now. Just the kind of shtick that it's got going on here. All right, so secretary bird upgraded to more weird. I mean, it looks like a fake animal, really. It's not the first one. Yeah, Maybelline. It's a Maybelline. Maybe they're born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. There weren't a lot of videos of secretary birds when I was looking them up. Okay, so I got one more. I left this one last because I've got to be careful how I say this. Speaking of the porn channels, so I leave it for last in case I get like tagged. At least you could see the majority. There's always a slim chance that the bots will end the show if I'm not careful about my material. So, I mean, obviously this is for scientific purposes. Dr. Voronoff's and to use. And this is just insane. This is a historical weird thing they did. I think I just found this morning. This is on atlasobscura.com. The true story of Dr. Voronoff's plan to use monkey testicles to make us immortal. Okay, so this is article is supposedly written in 2015. I can't say I've actually looked to see if there were attempts to make us immortal with monkey testicles before. But there is one thing in here that I think is really weird, is that apparently they actually implanted monkey testicle material into people, and there were no infections or anything. Now that's the part I really don't understand, is if you take foreign protein and stick it in to your body, like sew it into the skin, your body should immediately reject that. There should be a massive infection until it's gone. But I guess that doesn't happen anymore. I've talked before about this, that somehow the body is tolerating foreign proteins way more than I ever remember. So it's allowing these Frankenstein experiments to kind of work. The doctor was born in Russia, moved to France, studied under Alexis Carrel, a surgery and transplant pioneer who won a Nobel Prize. Voronoff became fascinated with the possibilities of animal-to-human transplants that he believed could restore youthful vigor and even cure diseases via transfer of hormones. So this is the thing. There shouldn't be any animal-to-human transplants using ordinary animals, because it should be rejected. So he got it in his head that, like, monkey hormones would cause us to be, like, healthier. And he wanted to, like, transplant them. So first he tried, like, grinding them up and having elixir, but that didn't work. And he was observing these eunuchs, and if you don't know, eunuchs are men that at a young age had their man part removed. And he said he noted their obesity, lack of body hair, broad pelvises, as well as their flaccid muscles, lethargic movements, memory problems, and lowered intelligence. I don't know if all that's true, but basically they, without their man parts, I think they've removed the balls, now that I think of it. I'm not really a eunuch expert, but basically they were missing a lot of their normal testosterone, which one would imagine would cause changes in growth and development. Okay, so he wanted to use monkey parts, and he would they would graft them into humans. Apparently, okay, so here's some before and after. He came to the idea that higher simians were the perfect donors for humans because they shared all the necessary biological similarities required for transplant. I don't know what that would be, what similarities, with the benefit of the monkey's stronger constitution. So his idea was he was going to make us strong like monkeys. Voronoff implanted a chimpanzee thyroid gland into a young French idiot, so somebody who has mental problems, like, not smart, in 1915, and claimed that over the next year his mental faculties returned to normal. All right, so they're saying this is a before and after, and you could see that after a year the face looks less puffy on the bottom. I don't really this face does look more like normal than that one, so I don't know. I mean, is this legit? I don't know. The sex gland stimulates cerebral activity as well as muscular energy and amorous passion. That's the story anyway. It pours into the stream of the blood as species of vital fluid, blah, 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 blah. Then the next thing he did was monkey testicle to man testicle xenograft. He did that in 1920. So he is said to have taken a small scrap of young monkey testicles, just a few centimeters wide. A few centimeters. I mean, how much is a centimeter? A centimeter is still a lot. It's not a millimeter. A centimeter, I mean, that's like, an inch or something. I'm like not real good at my centimeters, but that's not a tiny scrap. I mean, to me, a few millimeters thin, okay, a few millimeters thin, but it's skin. Skin is thin. And sewn it right into the patient's scrotum. So you're cutting the scrotum and you're adding monkey skin, I guess. A scrap of young monkey testicle. So is it the skin? And somehow this is not being rejected. It's not causing a big old, like, giant, I don't know. It should be totally infected right there, but I guess not. He called it a rejuvenation. So we have a before and after here. Now, frankly, I don't notice any real difference between here to here. A special reserve was set up in Africa specifically to capture and maintain monkeys for gland transfer. He presented it to the Congress of Surgeons in London. It was as a groundbreaking solution to aging and impotence. Would soon be available to women to turn grandmothers into debutantes. By the mid-1920s, at least 300 people had undergone this procedure, including at least one woman receiving a xenograft of monkey ovary. Demand continued to increase. He had his own hospital where the doctor could perform the grafts. He claimed he performed over 1,000 grafts throughout the world. He was doing it on sheep also. She charged 10,000 francs for the surgery, a year's salary for a chorus member at Paris Opera during the 1920s. He also did transplanting a human ovary into a monkey unsuccessfully. Other weird stuff. As those had undergone the procedure age, the chorus of skeptics grew. See, there's nothing about any infection or anything. The complaints were claimed to be seeing the benefits would disappear after. So what? It worked for 3 to 5 effing years. And he was saying it was the gland dying off, which could be fixed by a subsequent transplant. Then he was theorizing he needed to better match the blood of the monkey and the patient. So basically then they're saying it worked for 3 to 5 years, though, which is ridiculous in itself. Now, here's another before and after. This guy here does look more spry than this guy. Now, it could be that this guy gained weight, but his face is definitely fatter. So either he gained weight or he's gained somehow more material around. He doesn't look as sunken, but his neck is real pudgy. You can't really tell on this one though, so. All right, so he had to go to war, and he had to go work as a surgeon in World War II, during which time his castle was bombed to smithereens. But apparently, for 20 years, he was doing 2,000 monkey man testicle rejuvenations were administered everywhere from France to India and beyond. Okay, so now they're saying, oh, well, this is ridiculous. But you had 2,000 surgeries, and the biggest complaint was it stopped working after 3 to 5 years. This is just bizarre to me. Anyway, so I don't know what to say. It's crazy talk. I don't know what's going to become of this story about the xenografts. So yeah, 1920 to 1940s. So yes, there was a time where people were having monkey balls attached to them. Yeah, I know. It's almost time. I gotta run. Pig hearts were considered close enough to humans not to be rejected. So in my timeline, it was only after they genetically modified pigs that this was possible. I don't know if that's still the story, but that was how it started. We had to genetically modify pigs so that all of the proteins that normally cause rejection wouldn't. Then we could stick it in there. I've been very suspicious about it for a while, though. All right. Anyways, yes, I do have to go. So, you know the drill. Think good thoughts, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.